I never thought I would be the kind of woman who would write something like this. I always believed cheaters were selfish monsters. Women who destroyed their homes for excitement, for ego, for attention. I judged them harshly. I told myself I was different, loyal, grateful, a good wife. Now I know how easy it is to lie to yourself. My name is Sandra Jacobs. I'm in my mid-30s. I've been married to my husband, Harold, for almost 2 decades. From the outside, we looked like the kind of family people admired. Stable, comfortable, safe. But safety can become a cage when you stop respecting the person who built it for you. Harold never saw himself as special. He never walked around like a hero. But to me, at least in the beginning, he was everything. Strong, dependable, disciplined. He joined the army young, worked brutal hours afterward in security, and slowly climbed his way up until he became a regional director. Long shifts. Missed sleep. Missed comfort. All for us. For me. For our daughter. I met Harold in high school. We were kids pretending we understood love. When I got pregnant at 18, people whispered. Families judged. But Harold didn't run. He stood in front of everyone and took responsibility. We married after graduation, not because of pressure, but because we truly believed in us. At least, that's what I told myself for years. Our daughter, Rebecca, was born when we were barely adults ourselves. Harold adored her from the moment he held her. He worked harder than anyone I've ever known to make sure she never felt what he felt growing up. Neglected, unwanted, unloved. I saw that devotion. And somehow, I still betrayed him. I worked at a local bank, accounting at first, then management. Compared to Harold's job, my life felt easy. Climate-controlled office. Regular hours. Predictable routine. While he dealt with chaos, danger, and disrespect from strangers, I dealt with spreadsheets and meetings. Over time, something ugly grew inside me. Entitlement. I started seeing Harold not as the man who sacrificed for us, but as someone who was supposed to. I convinced myself that his exhaustion, his discipline, his authority were flaws. That he was controlling, old-fashioned, too rigid. And worst of all, I stopped defending him when Rebecca began to turn cold. When Rebecca hit her teenage years, the change was subtle at first. Eye-rolling, sarcasm, dismissive comments. I told myself it was normal. Teenage rebellion, I said whenever Harold looked hurt. But I see it clearly now. I enabled it. Every time Harold tried to discipline her, I stepped in, softened the consequences, undermined him, made him look like the villain. It was easier to comfort my daughter than to confront the truth that she was learning to disrespect the one man who never failed her. The resentment between father and daughter grew. Harold noticed it long before I admitted it. He tried to fix it, tried to talk to her, tried to stay involved. But Rebecca only got crueler. And I let it happen. I even justified it to myself. She's just expressing herself. He's too strict. He doesn't understand her. The truth? I didn't want to choose sides. Because choosing Harold would have meant facing my own guilt. There were moments, small ones, when I could have stopped everything. When I could have told the truth. When I could have chosen honesty over comfort. But I didn't. Because the lie had already been living with us for years. A lie so big that even now, writing this, my hands shake. The night everything truly began to crack wasn't the night Harold found out. It was the night he finally lost control with Rebecca. She was dressed in a way that made him uncomfortable, short skirt, defiant posture, eyes full of contempt. He told her to change. She mocked him. When he grounded her, she exploded. And then she said something that froze me when I heard about it later. You're a stupid, pathetic excuse of a man. Mom, and I should have left you years ago. I wasn't there when she said it. I wish I could say I would have stopped her. But I know myself better than that. When Harold slapped her, God, even writing that makes my chest tighten, I felt instant rage. Not because I was horrified by the act, but because he broke the illusion I was living in. He crossed a line. And that forced me to confront all the ones I had crossed long before. I came home furious, ready to attack him, ready to protect my daughter like I always did. But when Harold told me why it happened, about her skipping school, failing classes, lying to both of us, I realized something terrifying. I hadn't known my own child. And worse, I had helped shape her disrespect. That night, Harold apologized to Rebecca. I saw him cry. I saw him beg her to talk to him, to tell him what he did wrong. She didn't respond. And I didn't either. I thought things would settle down after that. I was wrong. Because while Harold was trying to hold our family together, I was hiding the truth that would destroy it forever. A truth buried in letters, in memories, in blood. The lie wasn't new. It had been part of my marriage almost from the beginning. And the man I betrayed Harold with wasn't a stranger. It was someone far worse. His own brother. And that truth was about to come out. I used to believe that as long as something stayed hidden long enough, it stopped being dangerous. That time diluted guilt. That silence erased sin. I was wrong. Because secrets don't rot quietly. They wait. And the ones I buried inside my marriage were patient. Adam, Harold's younger brother, had always been complicated. Where Harold was steady and disciplined, Adam was charming and reckless. He smiled easily, spoke softly when he wanted something. He had a way of making people feel seen, chosen. I noticed him noticing me long before I admitted it to myself. The first time it happened, Harold and I had just had a fight. A stupid one. About time. About him being gone too much. About me feeling lonely even while married. Adam showed up at my door that evening under the excuse of checking in. He told me Harold didn't mean to hurt me. He told me I deserved to feel wanted. I should have shut the door. Instead, I listened. That night didn't feel like betrayal. That's the ugliest truth. It felt like comfort. Like validation. Like someone choosing me without conditions. We told ourselves it was a mistake. We told ourselves it would never happen again. But it did. Not constantly. Not recklessly. Quietly. Carefully. Sometimes months apart. Sometimes once a year. Sometimes during moments when Harold was away working, trusting me completely. And then, I got pregnant. I don't think I've ever felt fear like that. Harold was overjoyed. He cried when Rebecca was born. Held her like she was fragile glass. Promised her a life better than his own. And I let him believe she was his. I told myself it didn't matter. He loved her. He raised her. Biology was irrelevant. That lie became my shield. Years passed. The affair faded in and out of existence. Adam moved on with his life publicly, but privately, he never fully left mine. And then Rebecca turned 12. That was the year everything shifted. She found out. Not all at once. Not directly. But enough. My mother-in-law, Harold's mother, knew. She had always despised Harold in quiet ways I tried not to see. She told Rebecca things no child should ever hear. Half-truths twisted into poison. That Harold wasn't her real father. That Adam loved her more. That Harold was controlling. Weak. A mistake. Rebecca believed her. And once that seed took root, her respect for Harold died. I watched it happen. And I said nothing. Because speaking up would have meant admitting everything. So instead, I chose the easier cruelty. Silence. Harold sensed it. I know he did. He tried harder. Worked longer. Sacrificed more. When Rebecca rejected him, I blamed him for being too harsh. I made him feel small. The night he slapped her, something inside him broke. I saw it in his eyes later, shock mixed with shame. He apologized. He begged her to talk to him. And she looked at him like a stranger. That should have been the moment I told the truth. Instead, I doubled down. When Harold left that night to clear his head, I thought maybe things would calm down. Maybe the storm would pass. But storms don't disappear when you ignore them. They gather strength. The day Harold found the letters, I wasn't even thinking about them. They had been hidden for years. Old words from an old life I convinced myself no longer mattered. But secrets have weight. And they don't stay buried forever. When Harold suggested cleaning the house before our anniversary trip, I thought it was sweet. Normal. A reset. I had no idea what he would find in the attic. When he came downstairs that afternoon, his face looked different. Controlled. Calm in a way that scared me. I asked him where he was going. He kissed me. Told me he needed supplies. I believed him. Because I wanted to. That night he held me. Told me he loved me. And for the first time in years, I felt something shift between us, but I didn't understand what it was. Now I know. He already knew. He just hadn't decided what to do with that knowledge yet. The days that followed felt strange. Harold was present, but distant. Polite. Observant. Watching. I mistook his silence for forgiveness. Then came Jamaica. I was ecstatic. I thought it meant everything was okay. That despite the tension, our marriage still mattered to him. The trip was beautiful. Beaches, sunsets, luxury, and guilt. I could feel it crawling up my spine every time he touched me. Every time he smiled. I tried to convince myself that love could erase the past. That night on the beach, when I told him things would change when we got home, I meant it. I just didn't know how. The next morning, at breakfast, he placed the letters on the table. My letters. My handwriting. My words to Adam. Time stopped. I couldn't breathe. I don't even remember what I said at first. Something useless. Something desperate. An explanation that sounded pathetic even to my own ears. Harold didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult me. That hurt more. When he told me about the DNA test, my knees nearly gave out. I knew it was coming. I had always known. Still, hearing it out loud felt like my soul tearing in half. I wanted to confess everything. I wanted to fall apart in front of him. To beg. To promise change. But when he asked me who Rebecca's father was, I froze. Because saying Adam's name would make everything real. Permanent. Unforgivable. So I stayed silent. And in that silence, I lost him. He walked away from the table. From the room. From me. The trip ended early. When we returned home, the house felt hollow. Harold moved his things. Not angrily. Methodically. Like a man preparing for the end of something he had already mourned. Adam was there when we arrived. Smiling. Unaware that the illusion was gone. Harold told him to leave. Adam didn't argue. That scared me more than shouting would have. I slept alone that night. And for the first time since I was 18, I felt truly abandoned. Not because Harold left, but because I finally understood that I deserved it. I had betrayed a good man. I had poisoned my child against him. And I had chosen comfort over truth for far too long. What I didn't know then was that Harold wasn't done. Not even close. I used to think the worst thing that could happen to a marriage was being caught cheating. I was wrong. The worst thing is realizing too late that the person you betrayed didn't just lose love. They lost faith. After Jamaica, Harold became a stranger living in the same house. He didn't scream. He didn't insult me. He didn't even ask questions anymore. That silence was unbearable. He moved into the basement, turning it into his own space like a man preparing for permanent separation. Every sound of boxes being carried, every drawer being emptied felt like a countdown to something I couldn't stop. Rebecca noticed too. She didn't say much, but I saw the tension in her shoulders. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. The confidence she once carried, the belief that Harold would always be there no matter how cruel she was, began to crack. And still, I didn't tell her the truth. I was afraid. Afraid that if I did, she would hate me the way she hated him. Harold barely spoke to me unless necessary. When he did, his voice was flat, controlled, like he was managing a dangerous situation rather than a marriage. That's when I realized something terrifying. He wasn't reacting anymore. He was planning. Rebecca's 18th birthday was approaching. She wanted a big celebration at a hotel ballroom. Family, friends, photos, attention. Harold agreed. I thought it was a peace offering. I didn't understand that it was a stage. The day of the party, I felt sick. A constant knot in my stomach I couldn't explain. Harold dressed impeccably. Calm. Focused. Too calm. When we arrived at the venue, everything looked perfect. Decorations. Music. Laughter. I saw Adam there too. smiling, confident, unaware. That should have been my warning. As the evening progressed, Harold asked everyone to gather. He took the microphone with the ease of someone used to command. My heart began to pound. He thanked everyone for coming, spoke about family, about truth, about how appearances can lie. And then, he told them everything. Not emotionally, not dramatically, fact by fact. The affair, the letters, the DNA test. The room fell silent. Rebecca stared at him like she was seeing a ghost. Adam turned pale. My vision blurred. When Harold revealed that Rebecca was not his biological daughter, I felt the floor disappear beneath me. Gasps echoed around the room. My daughter looked at me. For the first time in her life, she didn't look powerful. She looked terrified. Harold didn't insult her. He didn't attack her. He spoke about how he raised her, loved her, protected her. How none of that was fake to him, even if her blood wasn't his. And that was when I broke. Because I knew I had robbed both of them. I had robbed Rebecca of truth. I had robbed Harold of choice. When he showed the evidence, messages, videos, proof, there was no denying anything. Adam tried to speak. Harold shut him down with one sentence. Get out of my house. Security escorted Adam away. My mother-in-law sat frozen, exposed. Her role revealed. I wanted to disappear. After the party, Harold left. He didn't look back. That night, Rebecca screamed at me. Not at him. At me. She accused me of lying, of manipulating her, of turning her against the man who raised her. She cried harder than I had ever seen her cry. And for the first time, I didn't defend myself, because there was nothing left to defend. The following weeks were brutal. Divorce papers arrived. Harold didn't fight unfairly. He didn't need to. The truth was enough. Assets were divided. Accounts frozen. My reputation shattered. Friends stopped calling. Family avoided me. People whispered. And Harold? He walked away clean. He didn't beg. He didn't break publicly. He rebuilt quietly. Rebecca moved out shortly after. She chose to stay with Adam. That was the final knife. I lost my husband. I lost my daughter. I lost the illusion that I was ever the victim. The house felt empty without Harold. Too big. Too silent. Sometimes I would catch myself listening for his footsteps, his keys, his voice. But all that remained was regret. I heard through others that Harold had reconnected with someone from his past. A woman named Rose. It didn't surprise me. He deserved someone who saw him, respected him, chose him without betrayal. I never reached out. What could I say? I'm sorry doesn't undo decades of lies. Today, I live with the consequences of my choices. Not dramatically. Not tragically. Just honestly. I destroyed a good man. I taught my daughter the wrong lessons. And I lost everything I thought would always be there. If you're reading this and thinking about hiding a secret, lying to protect comfort, choosing silence over truth, don't. Because one day, the truth won't ask for permission anymore. It will stand in front of everyone. And you will have no one left to blame but yourself.